Hey guys, my name is Far and welcome back to another video. Today I got a bit of gameplay here from the Vector in Far Cry 5. I do know that there was some kind of bug or glitch going on where a lot of people couldn't actually claim their Vector after playing 40 minutes in the arcade, but I was able to claim it no problem. I finished up my 40 minutes in the arcade, went on to try to claim it, I claimed it, went to the shop, it was available for me to equip and use, put attachments on, do whatever the fuck I wanted, and it was pretty easy for me anyway. But I gotta say, I really love the way this weapon looks. I kinda would like a classic Vector, like the Vector Classic or whatever. I'm not too sure what this weapon's called. Is it called the Vector Classic? I believe it's called something else. But I would just like a classic Vector. I could have like a black Vector and maybe put some camos or skins or whatever on it. But I do really like the way this weapon looks. I love the design. I'm a big fan of retro style games. And even though I never really grew up with them style of games, generally a lot of people like retro games because it reminds them of when they were younger, when they first got into gaming. But for me, I wasn't really alive during that time. I've been brought up in a generation where gaming is all like 3D, open world. We have games that provide us thousands upon thousands of hours of gameplay experiences for us to run around and do whatever the fuck we want. We have unlimited possibilities now within gaming. There is a huge array of games out there with constant shit for you to do, constant updates, open world games with massive objectives and a shit ton of shit for you to do within the game. But when it comes down to it, I still love the retro style games because I still love them little pixelated graphics and just the way the game looks. I love that style of a game. And even though I have grown up with a lot of this shit where like 3D gaming graphics have advanced a lot, and I have been brought up in a generation of gaming that necessarily wasn't really pixelated and retro awful graphics style of games. Even though one of my favorite memories is getting a Nintendo DS on Christmas with like Pokémon Diamond, I think it was. And that game is kind of retro. I can't actually remember what that game looks like too much. I might actually have to go back and look at some gameplay of that. I might even actually try to play it again. I still have my Nintendo 3DS. I'm not actually too sure where my original DS was, but I still have my 3DS, and I believe I still have the cartridge for Pokémon Diamond, which still works in the 3DS. I really love the fact that you have an option to put in old cartridges from an old console and still be able to play them on a newer system. That's really cool, and I love the way the DS does that. Seeing when it comes to the Xbox One here, we have a huge array, I believe like 500 plus, if not more, into maybe the thousands of games we have here backwards compatible on the Xbox One. It is insane the amount of games that we have from our old 360 console. Like most of the Call of Duties I know now are on backwards compatible, not to mention some of the greatest games of all time, Halo Reach, Red Dead Redemption, and I even believe Just Cause 2 might be backwards compatible. There's some amazing games that has an option to be played on your newer system, which is so cool and something Sony really doesn't take advantage of. Then again, I really do see why they may not want to do this, because it is a lot of money to try to do this and try to get these emulators working on the newer systems, when maybe that many people will not actually play these games because these are older titles. And even though there will be a good chunk of people playing them, you have to pick and choose which games you actually bring back to backwards compatibility, because some of the smaller titles that maybe a few people will like, but the majority of people aren't going to play them. And if you're putting a lot of money to try to get an emulator to work on your newer system and not that many people actually buy the game, or you don't really make an investment back from that, then that's just kind of money down the drain. So I do understand why Sony doesn't really want to go down that route, but it's just been kind of funny thinking about this. I think some of the older games are some of the best, and yeah, sure, that might purely have to be based on nostalgia. I remember getting my PlayStation 2, I got an Ice Age game, I believe it was Ice Age 2, was it, whenever I initially got my first PlayStation 2, and I actually really loved that game. That was a hard ass game. When I was younger, I couldn't complete that game to save my life, because I remember running around this little squirrel trying to get your acorn, and then I believe like Diego, or is that the tiger's name, it was like up hiding somewhere, and there was like, it was kind of like a stealth mission. It was really cool. I can barely remember it in my head. I can briefly remember parts of the game, and I've had some of my best experiences in my life playing PlayStation 2. I love that console. That is pretty much, I actually think the PlayStation 2 is my first ever gaming console, and I love that thing. It is just, it's brought me so many good memories. And even though it isn't necessarily retro gaming, and I have said I like retro gaming, it isn't necessarily something like maybe Pac-Man or the original Super Mario or something. but it still is an older style of console and still older style of games that I really like, and a lot of that sure is based on nostalgia, but it just brings me back to how awesome older games are. Some of the games that were delivered way before the Xbox One or even the 360, Xbox 360 and like PlayStation 3 and stuff, they're some of the best gaming experience I think ever. And I think a lot of new kids coming into gaming nowadays that maybe around the age of like maybe 10, 11, 12 nowadays may not really get to appreciate how awesome them games are. They may be looking at your AAA games nowadays. You've got like GTA 5, Skyrim, I'm looking at some older titles here, even like Horizon Zero Dawn, which came out. There's a new Spider-Man game coming out for PlayStation 4. I've really actually been thinking about if I should pick up a PlayStation 4 because there's a lot of really cool exclusives on that console that I may end up actually picking it up for. But even with the likes of like Far Cry 5 here, and we've just got so many games that offer such a massive world with such amazing visuals, like literally near photorealistic visuals in our games nowadays. It's almost to the point where games are becoming more like movies and TV shows. They just look so realistic and there's so much depth to our games nowadays. I don't really think kids looking at these games nowadays can look at something as simple as maybe Pac-Man or something and think that that's a fun game. How the fuck is that a fun experience, they may be thinking, but it really is. I think some of the best games are the old-time classic games, and I love that shit. I love it. I actually can barely remember most of my games on PlayStation 2, but I remember playing so many games in that console, and I have such great memories of it. I remember, I think, Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 2, the original Spider-Man 2, that game was so fucking good. I've put so much time into playing that game, and I love the shit out of it. And even Spider-Man 3, even though it wasn't really well received as a Spider-Man game or a very good game, I personally still found it very enjoyable, and I thought it was really cool the way you could kind of put on the black suit, and even though it necessarily wasn't Venom, and even though I love Venom, like I remember playing Ultimate Spider-Man, I still have a disc downstairs for that on like the old PC, on my old PC downstairs. And I still have a disc for that. I could probably put that into my PC upstairs here and probably play that game. I remember like going around as Venom trying to eat people. That was so much fun. Like, what other game can you do that? What other game can you become Venom and fucking eat civilians? That was awesome. I just remember some like villains like Shocker and different things. The game was a lot of fun, and I'm getting very sidetracked here. I'm talking about a load of different things at once, and I'm kind of confusing myself a little bit here as well. Well, I think the point I'm trying to make here is how much fun I used to have on these older games, and how amazing of memories that I have of these things, and why I love them so much. I think some of the best gaming experience that I've ever had in my life have come from the PlayStation 2 and even the Xbox 360. Sure, I still love gaming nowadays. I still love gaming. I've really never lost my touch with gaming. I've been gaming since a very young age. I remember, I think I got my PlayStation 2 when I was like 4, 5. I was very young. I'm 16 now, so I got it quite a while ago. It was over like 10 years ago whenever I first got it. And yet, here I am still gaming till today. And yeah, I'm still very young. I still got a fuck ton of my life left to live. Unless I die tomorrow. I guess you never know, I could die tomorrow, but I don't plan to. Hopefully not. Anyway guys, hopefully you guys did enjoy. I'm gonna end the video here. I just kind of want to talk about some of my older experiences with like retro games, and not even necessarily retro games, just some of my older games and older experiences that I've had with like the PlayStation 2 and stuff that I mentioned in this video. It's just something that's been on my mind as of recently and something that I really enjoy, so I kind of just wanted to talk about it. So yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy, and yeah, I'll hopefully see you guys next one. Peace out.